Have you ever apologized for something before the other person said they were hurt? Maybe a conversation ended, and something about it did not feel right. There was a pause that lasted too long. Their expression changed. Their reply seemed shorter than usual. Later, you started replaying the interaction. Was that joke unkind? Did you say too much? Did you make them uncomfortable? Eventually, you sent an apology. Maybe they said it was fine. Maybe they had no idea what you were talking about. Maybe they accepted the apology and moved on. Either way, you felt some relief. You found the mistake and did what a good person was supposed to do. You took responsibility. You apologized. You could stop wondering whether the interaction meant that you were bad. The apology may have been sincere. It may also have helped you feel like a good person again. Sometimes that is the main purpose of the apology. It changes the way you see yourself. Before apologizing, you were the person who did something bad. After apologizing, you became the person who recognized the mistake and tried to fix it. You were good again. If this pattern feels familiar, you may also feel pressure to be honest about everything. You may explain yourself when no one asked for an explanation. You may confess thoughts or actions that other people did not need to know about. You may feel responsible whenever someone around you becomes uncomfortable. When being good becomes tied to safety, we start monitoring ourselves. We check our words against our actions. We examine our motives. We think about how everyone else might be feeling. We look for signs that we have upset someone. A mistake becomes more than a mistake. One lie might mean that you are becoming a liar. One selfish choice might reveal something terrible about your character. One moment of anger might mean that you are cruel. Maybe a higher power is watching. Maybe karma will eventually punish you. Maybe other people will discover what you are really like and leave. So you keep checking. You replay conversations. You make sure everyone is comfortable. You apologize quickly. You tell the truth even when no one asked for it, and when telling it only creates more stress. You do all of this because being bad feels dangerous. But the checking never gives you the certainty you want. There is always something else to examine. A memory from years ago can suddenly feel important. A small inconsistency can become evidence that you have been dishonest. A passing thought can make you question your character. Your body may stay tense because the question is never fully answered. Are you a good person? No amount of checking can give you a permanent answer. Every human being has lied. Every human being has been selfish, jealous, unkind, or dishonest. Most of us have tried to control an outcome or influence someone to get what we wanted. When we do something we consider bad, we often explain it immediately. You lied because you were scared. You manipulated a situation because you needed something. You did not help because you were exhausted. You lashed out because you were hurt. These reasons may be true. They can help you understand what happened. They can also make the behavior easier to accept by changing what it seems to say about you. I lied because I was scared feels different from I lied. I manipulated someone because I needed help feels different from I manipulated someone. The explanation creates some distance between you and the behavior. It lets you believe that a bad action came from a good person who had an understandable reason. You do not always need that distance. Sometimes you can let yourself be bad. This phrase is about what has already happened. If you lied, then you lied. If you were selfish, then you were selfish. If you hurt someone, then you hurt someone. Ruminating about the past does not change it. Feeling ashamed for hours does not undo what happened. Replaying the event will not produce a version in which you made a different choice. It already happened. You can allow that to be true. Bring to mind something from your past that you still feel the need to explain. It does not have to be the worst thing you have ever done. Choose something your mind returns to because it seems to say something about who you are. Describe it in one sentence. I lied. I manipulated someone to get what I wanted. I lashed out. I was unkind. I did not want to help. End the sentence there. You may immediately want to add more information. You may remember what the other person did first. You may think about how tired, afraid, or desperate you were. Those details can be true. The original sentence can also remain true. You may then begin judging yourself. Admitting to manipulation may make you worry that you are a manipulative person. Admitting that you lied may make you worry that you are dishonest. You may feel that accepting the behavior will cause you to do it again. Then the rumination begins. When we explain the behavior away, we decide that it does not really count. When that fails, we may punish ourselves instead. We feel ashamed, call ourselves names, or spend hours thinking about what the behavior means. We may believe that suffering proves we care. A bad person would not feel this ashamed. A selfish person would not spend this much time worrying about being selfish. A dishonest person would not care this much about a lie. Our suffering becomes evidence that we are still good. But suffering does not change what happened. You can acknowledge that you were the person who did it. No final judgment about your character is required. You did something bad. You may do bad things again. You are still allowed to continue living your life. You may have been bad in that moment. You may be bad sometimes. That can be true without becoming the only truth about you. This changes the way we think about apologies. An apology can become a way to remove the label bad. Once we apologize, we can tell ourselves that we are accountable and self-aware. We did the right thing afterward, so we can stop feeling guilty. Most of this process happens inside us. The apology allows us to return to a more comfortable version of ourselves. That does not make the apology fake. We can care about someone and also want relief from guilt. Both feelings can be present, but some apologies feel forced. You apologize because you believe you have to. You need to say the correct words. Know that you have done your part and stop feeling bad about yourself. At other times, you genuinely want to apologize. You recognize what happened, and something in you feels moved to respond. Maybe you want to say you are sorry. Maybe you want to behave differently. Maybe you want to give the other person space. There is no need to force that movement before it arrives. You can recognize that someone was hurt without pretending to feel something you do not feel. You can admit that you are not ready to apologize. You can allow your actual response to be what it is. This may feel dangerous. You may wonder what will stop you from becoming selfish or cruel if you stop judging yourself. The fear of becoming cruel already shows how much you care about the way you affect people. That care is already present. It does not have to be maintained through constant fear. We often assume that self-judgment is what keeps us good, but self-judgment can also keep us focused on ourselves. We become preoccupied with what an action says about us, whether we deserve forgiveness, and how quickly we can stop feeling guilty. When the need to prove our goodness relaxes, there is more room to see what actually happened. The act can remain bad. No explanation has to make it innocent. No punishment has to make us pure again. It becomes one fact among many in a human life. This happened. Once we can hold our own badness this way, other people's badness may feel less threatening too. When we cannot tolerate a quality within ourselves, it can be tempting to place it entirely in someone else. Other people become narcissists, manipulators, toxic people, or monsters. We become the people who would never behave that way. Sometimes these words describe real patterns. They can also make human behavior seem more divided than it is. Once we recognize the capacity for manipulation within ourselves, it no longer belongs to a completely different kind of person. The same is true of jealousy, dishonesty, selfishness, and cruelty. We can see what another person did without deciding that their behavior explains everything about them. We can respond however we need to respond. There is less pressure to divide the world into good people and bad people. We may also become more forgiving of ordinary imperfection. Someone can be impatient without becoming a terrible person. Someone can lie without becoming a pathological liar. Someone can act selfishly without every good thing they have done becoming false. Other people become easier to enjoy because they no longer have to be perfect. The fear of a higher power or karma may still remain. We may believe that every bad action creates a debt. Even if no one else knows what happened, something larger knows. Sooner or later, the punishment will arrive. This can turn life into a constant search for signs. If something goes wrong, maybe it is karma. If a relationship ends, maybe we are being punished. If we feel anxious, maybe the anxiety is proof that we did something wrong. The moral audit continues through our spiritual beliefs. A higher power does not have to be imagined as keeping a private record. Karma does not have to become delayed revenge. Life already contains what happened. You are still here. The day continues. You eat, sleep, talk to people, and make more choices. The past does not have to be settled before life can continue. Sometimes the need for purity shows up in very ordinary ways. Imagine that you have not showered and your sheets are clean. Sleeping in them feels wrong, so you sleep on the exposed mattress underneath them. The bed stays clean, but you cannot rest in it. A place that should feel safe becomes another place where you have to follow a rule. The same thing can happen when being good feels necessary. You protect a clean version of yourself, but you never feel comfortable inside your own life. There is little room to be tired, angry, jealous, selfish, private, or dishonest. There is little room to make a mistake and let the day continue. Letting yourself be bad may look very ordinary. You allow an awkward conversation to end without apologizing. You keep something private. You let someone misunderstand you. You admit that you lied without giving the entire story. You notice that you do not want to help, and you let that feeling exist. You stop trying to prove that every choice came from a good place. At first, this may feel wrong. Guilt may still arise. Your mind may still warn you about what the behavior means. You can let those reactions exist too. You do not have to solve them before returning to your life. Something bad happened. Maybe you did it. It is already part of the past. Reality has room for what happened and for whatever comes next. Just let yourself be bad without needing to explain it away. All is well.